I'm so glad we're here, all of us, to look forward to a new year. And I just wanted to let you know that you're cordially invited to let 2018 be the year that you awaken, that you truly awaken to the beauty of life that Spirit intends for you to live. What would 2018 be like if you were fully awake and present for it all? Meaning fully awake and present to the life that you now have, fully awake and present to who you are in every moment, fully awake and present to what brings you joy here and now, and fully awake and present to the life that you are creating with every thought you think, every feeling you feel, every word you speak. I love this. I was at the gym the other day, and on the blackboard at the gym, they had this writing by John R. Price. And it said, every thought we think, every feeling we feel, every word we speak goes out into the atmosphere and either heals or harms. Let us be healers. Let us be harmless. I love that. So, in 2018, what would your awakened life look like? So today we're going to look at 4 stages of spiritual consciousness that we might experience if we answer yes to this invitation of awakening. And these stages of spiritual consciousness have been called kingdoms. And so this morning we're going to look at these 4 realms in which a particular level of awakening is dominant. And they originated with Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith of the Agape International Spiritual Center in Los Angeles many years ago, and are now taught throughout our movement of New Thought. And second, as we talk about them, just observe where you hang out in consciousness. Now, I said notice. Don't blame yourself. Don't beat yourself up or feel not good enough because of where you observe yourself to be in consciousness. Just notice. And likewise, if you're feeling very exalted in your consciousness, don't get all puffed up with spiritual pride either. Again, simply notice. And third, these are probably not new to a lot of you. You've heard us speak about them before, but if you're familiar with them, this is not the time to take a nap. I invite you to bring fresh ears and fresh eyes this morning and see if there's something in there that you haven't gotten before, because we're all on this path. And the first stage is the why me, or the mortal stage. And this stage is more asleep than it is awake. And we've all been there, done that. We got the t-shirt. It's called why me, or we could also call it the mortal stage, or the human experience. At this stage, life is a real struggle. We feel separate, we feel disconnected, alone, powerless, a victim of circumstances. We think we have absolutely no control over what's happening in our lives. At this stage, we think something outside of us is doing something to us. It could be God outside of us, separate from us. It could be our enemies. It could be our astrological chart, our parents, our partners, the weather, the government, the devil. The devil made me do it. There's a perfect way to know that if you're in this stage. It's accompanied by quite a bit of drama, noise, complaining, and the back of your hand is often velcroed to your forehead as you say these words. Why does this always happen to me? Why is this happening to me again? Anybody recognize those? Thought any of those thoughts lately? The opportunity for awakening that we have at this stage or kingdom is huge. It's the opportunity to give up blame and to begin to take responsibility, personal responsibility for our own lives. And this is where a lot of us are when we walk through the doors of a New Thought church. I know that's exactly where I was when I walked through. But the words that I heard in that church convinced me to keep coming back. We have the opportunity to awaken to the truth that we are not victims of circumstance, fate, others, the economy, the weather, politics. We have the opportunity to awaken to the truth that we are powerful and empowered beings, endowed with the very nature of that which created us, which is the ability to create. We are co-creators. We have the opportunity to awaken to the truth, as Ernest Holmes tells us in The Science of Mind. There is a power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. And it's customary in our teaching during January to revisit the first 4 pre-chapters of the Science of Mind textbook. And that first chapter is called The Thing Itself. The thing itself is that power in the universe greater than you are that you can use. That thing itself, the only thing. And that moves us to the second stage of spiritual consciousness, or the kingdom of awakening, which is the by me, or metaphysician stage. Instead of having it done to me, I'm doing it to it. By me. In this stage, we actually learn that we are not victims of circumstances. We begin to understand that we are part of something bigger than we are. That there is something sustaining us, and that there is a law or a precise or a specific way that this something bigger than we are works, and we learn to work in harmony with it. That's why we're here at these churches, what we're reminding each other of. That we're trying to work in harmony with this power that's already doing everything. Ernest Holmes writes in the Science of Mind textbook, he says, we are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. We are surrounded by, immersed in, and there is flowing through us a creative something. The sum total of all of our thought, will, purpose, and belief creates a tendency in this law that causes it to react to us according to the sum total of that belief. And, as David illustrated in his reading, ignorance of the law excuses no one from its effects. If then specific ways of thought and belief have produced limitations, other beliefs will change them. So we learn this at this stage. We learn that things don't just happen to us. They happen according to what's in our belief system. They happen to us according to what our tendency of thinking is. And we learn that we can change our thinking and change our lives. That's the catchphrase I first heard when I came into this teaching. Change your thinking, change your life. We learn that we are creative beings. And this is a very empowering place for us to discover within ourselves, isn't it? I know when I first heard that truth, I just felt the truth in it and felt, wow, why didn't they teach me this in Sunday school when I was a kid? And it's a place where we all need to awaken to in order to experience the beauty of life that Spirit intends for us to live and to experience. And this is the state a stage where we learn amazing tools like affirmation, visualization, spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. This is where we go, we want to learn more, and we take classes in spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer and all of the tools that we need to learn so that we can be great metaphysicians and demonstrate the good that we desire in our lives. We learn that if we can see it in our mind's eye and feel that it is done, we can create it. And you know what? We can. New Thought has done a great job of teaching these truths. And it's an important step in our spiritual evolution. And if you haven't mastered this stage, the metaphysician stage, or feel that you're rusty, 2018 is the year to awaken to it. It's the year to take that class for greater awakening here also. And we might say that in this stage, the metaphysician stage, we make things happen. And in the next stage, we make things welcome. And I know a lot of us get stuck in demonstrating. And that's when we start getting stuck in our demonstrations, it's time to open ourselves to this third level of consciousness so that we can learn to make things welcome. And this stage is called the through me, or the mystic stage. And in this third stage, we start to release control and replace our control with this sense of a personal relationship with something much more powerful than we are. This is where we get to know God and get to know that we are personally immersed in God, that we are not separate. And at this stage, we begin to realize that we are spiritual beings having a human experience rather than human beings trying to get spiritual. And this is called the through me, or the mystic stage. And now before you start freaking out because this mystic stage is, you picture it as a robed guru sitting in a lotus position on a mountaintop, meditating and saying Om all day long. It's not true. Ernest Holmes said it very succinctly. He said, the mystic is one who senses the divine presence. That's all it is. The mystic feels God's presence. And we're all mystics when we feel God's presence in our lives. Of course, it doesn't happen all the time. But certainly, we're a mystic if we have a lot of extreme moments of feeling it. The through me, or mystical stages of our evolution of consciousness, is a place where we surrender more and more to the divine. Surrender. We let go. We let go of that control. We let go and we let God. It's where we desire to be an open vessel for God. It's the mystic who sings like the Ricky Byers song. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Can you feel that? That's a surrender to a power greater than you are. And when we do this, we find that we're not so attached to a particular outcome. And in this relaxed receptivity, we become more available to our greatest good. We become surrendered to our greatest good. And in this stage of evolution, we bring in some other spiritual tools. Visioning, present moment awareness, forgiveness. And at this stage, our prayers take on a different focus. Rather than for the purpose of manifesting something, they are more prayers of willingness and openness. And in fact, in the textbook, Ernest Holmes writes, "True prayer must be, 'Thy will be done.'" We've all heard that. Say, what about my will? But the implication relative to the will of God in this prayer is not a submission to the inevitability of evil or limitation. It's a knowledge that the will of God is always good. It cannot be anything but that, no matter what happens in life. It's bigger than we are. It knows more than we are. It's a matter of trusting it. And while the stage of the mystic is very powerful, there's yet another one, and that is the as-me, or the master kingdom. As-me, or master, as in the masters, the Christ, Buddha. It's a combination of the metaphysician and the mystic. And Jesus, of course, in our Western civilization, is our primary example, our master teacher. He had an absolute union with the divine. No sense of separation. There was no division. And I love what Joel Goldsmith, who was a mystic in his own right, a modern mystic and spiritual teacher. He said this, he says, "Do not pray to God for things. Pray to know God, and all the things will simply appear." Which is what Jesus said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added unto you." So when a master sees lack, how do you like my iPad that I used to have, that Diane used to program? Anybody miss that? I do. When a master sees lack, he or she knows that it's just a place for calling forth more of God in expression. It's just an opportunity to experience more of God. That's how Jesus could turn water into wine, feed the multitudes, heal the sick, and raise the dead. When he was faced with lack or limitation, he saw an opportunity to experience more of God, to embody, to realize something more of something so much greater. Holmes's final words in the Science of Mind textbook are these, in his final conclusion. He writes that the essence of spiritual mind healing and of all true religious philosophy is an inner realization of the presence of perfection within and around about. It is the hope of heaven, the voice of God proclaiming, "I am that which thou art that which I am." And that's the as-me, or the master stage of spiritual consciousness. I am that which thou art that which I am. And that which God is and which I am is love. Only love. So, during our lifetimes, we spend time in all of these kingdoms, because it isn't a linear process. We go back and forth, switching these kingdoms according to our, you might say, metaphorical residences, depending on the issues and situations in our lives. Remember the invitation that I gave you a little while ago. What did it say? You are cordially invited to let 2018 be the year that you awaken, that you truly awaken to the beauty of life that Spirit intends for you to live and experience. So what are you going to awaken to this morning? What is each one of you going to awaken to this morning? Bring that into your mind. To the realization that if you are hanging out in the why me or mortal stage, that you have the opportunity to embody the truth that you are a powerful and empowered human being, endowed with the very nature of that which created you. The ability to create. Are you ready to master manifesting, demonstration in your life? Are you ready to become a master metaphysician? Or is it to the realization, while the by me or metaphysical kingdom is absolutely and vitally necessary, it isn't the end, and that you can awaken to something even more powerful, the truth that you don't have to make things happen. I really like the idea that I don't have to make things happen. We can get worn out trying to make things happen. But rather you can make them welcome by giving up control to something greater than you are in your finite humanness. Are you awakening so that you can become the mystic where you allow God to consciously work through you? Not my will, but thine, as the master teacher said. Knowing that God's will is always for the highest and best good. Or in 2018, are you ready to cultivate as me consciousness, or step into the kingdom of the Master where there's no sense of separation and there's only love? Wherever you are ready to go, all of us here at MCCSL are ready to serve you, support you, uplift you, and empower you. We love you, and so it is.